Ideas that change how we understand power, freedom, capitalism, media, education, technology, and even reality itself. Here are 20 theories that transformed the social sciences. 1. Historical materialism. Karl Marx argued that history is not driven primarily by ideas but by material conditions: who owns resources, who controls production, and how different social classes struggle over economic power. For Marx, history moves through class conflict. 2. Protestant ethic. Max Weber asked a fascinating question: why did modern capitalism emerge in Western Europe? His answer was that certain Protestant values, discipline, hard work, and self-control, helped create a culture favorable to capitalism. 3. Clash of civilizations. Samuel Huntington argued that after the Cold War, major conflicts would no longer be ideological. Instead, civilizations and cultural identities would become the main source of global tensions. 4. End of history. Francis Fukuyama famously claimed that liberal democracy might represent the final stage of ideological evolution, not the end of events, but the end of competing grand political alternatives. 5. Orientalism. Edward Said showed how the West historically portrayed the East as exotic, irrational, and inferior. These images weren't neutral. They helped justify colonial power. 6. Society of the spectacle. Guy Debord argued that modern life is increasingly experienced through images and media representations. People consume representations of reality rather than reality itself. 7. Banality of evil. Hannah Arendt observed that terrible crimes are often committed not by monsters, but by ordinary people who stop thinking critically and simply follow orders. 8. Manufacturing consent. Noam Chomsky and Edward Herman argue that media can shape public opinion through structural biases. Control doesn't always require censorship. Sometimes it works through framing and selection. 9. Culture industry. Theodor Adorno and Max Horkheimer argued that mass entertainment often promotes conformity rather than critical thinking. Culture becomes another industry. 10. Hegemony. Antonio Gramsci argued that power survives not only through force, but through consent. Dominant ideas become common sense, and people begin accepting systems that may not benefit them. 11. Governmentality. Michel Foucault showed that modern power often works indirectly. Instead of forcing people, institutions encourage individuals to regulate themselves. 12. Surveillance capitalism. Shoshana Zuboff argues that digital platforms transform personal data into profit. Your behavior becomes a valuable economic resource. 13. Risk society. Ulrich Beck argued that modern societies increasingly face risks created by modernization itself, from climate change to technological disasters. 14. Liquid modernity. Zygmunt Bauman described modern life as fluid and unstable. Careers change, relationships change, identities change, everything feels temporary. 15. McDonaldization. George Ritzer argued that the logic of fast food restaurants, efficiency, predictability, measurement, and control has spread across modern society. 16. Dependency theory. Dependency theorists argued that poverty in many countries is not simply internal failure. It is connected to unequal global economic relationships. 17. World systems theory. Immanuel Wallerstein viewed the world as one interconnected capitalist system. Some regions dominate, others provide labor and resources. Global inequality is built into the structure itself. 18. Capital-Ocene. Jason Moore argues that today's ecological crisis should not be blamed on humanity in general. It should be understood through the history of capitalism and resource extraction. 19. Pedagogy of the oppressed. Paulo Freire believed education should not be about memorizing information. It should help people understand and transform the world around them. 20. Sociological imagination. C. Wright Mills argued that personal problems are often social problems. To understand our lives, we must connect biography with history and private troubles with public issues, ending different theories, different thinkers, different centuries, yet all of them ask the same question. Why does society work the way it does, and how could it be different?